54 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today opened the National Religious Training School in Chautauqua to students in Durham, North Carolina. 104 years and several name changes later, North Carolina Central University continues to uphold the dream of our founder, Dr. James E. Shepard. Today, our Eagles, faculty, students, and alumni alike work toward a common goal of obtaining excellence. Now is the time.
Now is the time to plant seeds of success that will grow for a lifetime.
Now is the time to work towards achieving excellence, no matter where our paths may lead.
We must never be satisfied with what we accomplished yesterday.
We can never be satisfied until we've done what others said was impossible.
We must be willing to share our knowledge and accept the ideas of others.
We must work together to uplift our communities.
I have a dream that everyone has an equal chance to fulfill his or her true potential.
I have a dream of living a life in which leadership and service is always the standard.
I have a dream that all of our Eagles will grow great in knowledge, strong in character, and will soar to heights unimagined.
Because I am an eagle.
I am an eagle.
Because I am an eagle.
And in my dreams,
I fly.
I fly.
I fly.
And in my dreams, I fly.
Because we are Eagles, and in our dreams, we fly.
Did you like that? I bring that piece to share with you because it was written, produced, and filmed by our students. I start this morning giving honor to the one that has allowed me to put on my robe, that has allowed me to come home, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Reverend Dr. Howard John Wesley, members of the clergy, church officers, members and friends, and to all the North Carolina Central University Eagles who are here today, I am truly honored to be with you this morning and to stand here behind this sacred desk, a desk where so many men and women of God have stood. Want to thank Brother Calvin Kearney for all of his help and guidance in getting me here today. And I have a special treat, so church, please indulge me. You know, I'm a family of brothers. I'm the only girl in my family. And so I have to tell you, I inherited, better yet, I chose some great sisters-in-laws. And you know, they came to surprise me this morning. And they're here in the sanctuary. Could I ask Sonia and Tanya and Sarah and Ruby to please stand? You know, last night we had a little matchup with another institution that's a little ways down the road. Some of you may know it. But our National Alumni Association president was there, and she's traveling this morning to be with us. I'm not sure if Tanya Davis made it, but I know she's going to be here for the 11 o'clock, so I wanted to give her a special shout out because Eagle Pride is amplified. I'm particularly honored to be invited to speak on this, your 12th annual HBCU Festival and Sunday. You know, we can only wish that all churches, not just Black churches, but all churches support our institutions like Alfred Street Baptist Church. I applaud you. Who knew that in December of 1983, when I sat in this sanctuary, that some 31 years later, I would be standing here? You know, I guess some of the young folk are saying, gosh, what took you so long? I guess my reply, I had some living to do. This morning, I was led to Hebrews 11th chapter and the first verse. In the King James Version, it says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Our irreplaceable institutions were created to serve a purpose. And more than 100 years later, we have both students who are generational legacies, as well as many first-generation college students matriculating in our hallowed halls. HBCUs were a part of our survival in the past, and newsflash, they remain an important part of the intellectual landscape in 2014. HBCUs continue to graduate the most significant portion of African Americans earning graduate degrees. HBCUs continue to carry and serve as the top hubs for research concerned with and providing solutions for issues that disproportionately impact Black people and the communities in which we live. Last month, we celebrated the 85th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth. The birth of a Renaissance man, a man who defined a new America, an America brought to life on the foundation of freedom and justice now. He said, "We can't wait." Many of you may be familiar with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's book of the same title. And while my words won't deal with the subject matter of the book, I will talk about the sense of urgency driven by faith as it relates to higher education in general and HBCUs in particular. For the benefit of some of the young scholars here, an education was not always a right. In fact, a great theologian and scholar who was president of multiple HBCUs, the Reverend Dr. Samuel DeWitt Proctor, tells the story of the birth of HBCUs in his memoir, The Substance of Things Hoped For. Dr. Proctor states that within 45 years of emancipation, some 259 Black schools were established. Your pastor's predecessor, the Reverend Dr. John Peterson, and Dr. Proctor's alma mater, Virginia Union University, was one of those schools established in 1865. Do you know it began in a jail that had been used to house uncontrollable slaves? I want to paint this picture for you. The cell blocks were converted to classrooms and bloodied whipping posts into lecterns. I cannot think of a more vivid picture of the transformative power of a faithful people so determined to provide a quality education. But let me fast forward for you. Out of 259, today we have 104. This is why, church, we can't wait. Our founder, Dr. James E. Shepherd, an ordained minister of the gospel, a man of faith, stepped out on faith and created the National Religious Training School and Chautauqua for the colored race. It wasn't easy. Dr. Shepherd worked tirelessly amongst criticisms from all. But he was determined not to create just a great black school. He was determined to provide great education, great higher education for the colored race. Dr. Shepherd often wrote and spoke about the power of education. He said that we all needed to be uplifted first spiritually, and then economically, and finally politically. So that is the foundation from which our institution, North Carolina Central University, was founded. But you know, in those days, can you imagine the financial struggles, the threat of dwindling funds, and how many times he was told, you ought to close this place? Does it sound familiar, church? But today, North Carolina Central University stands strong with nearly 8,500 students. Our two leading research institutions, one focused on biomedicine and biotechnology, and another centered around biomanufacturing. Both are engaged in groundbreaking research, and you know, research that helps African Americans survive. Many of you know about our renowned law schools, our law school. We produced lawyers who have transformed our world. But let me also share with you, have you ever had the need for an intellectual property rights lawyer? How many look like us? And so our law school is one of the first law schools to embrace an intellectual property rights clinic on our campus, where we intend to make that world as diverse as we possibly can. So you see, Eagles can't wait. How do we make sure that those who have supported HBCUs in the past and those new supporters we hope to gain understand that we still need and yet deserve their support? We must continue to tell our stories. As Chancellor of North Carolina Central University, I have the privilege of leading what I believe is the crown jewel in the University of North Carolina system on a journey to what I call Eagle Excellence, or, you always have to have an acronym, E squared. Under E squared, we're making student success our #1 priority, along with financial and operational success. So what is NCCU's contemporary story? Well, first, NCCU is one of the most affordable and accessible institutions for low-income families in the University of North Carolina system, and one of the most affordable institutions in its peer group in the United States. U.S. News and World Report ranks NCCU in a tie for 12th place among the nation's 80 HBCUs, and just 4 public institutions are in the top 12. In January, we received a $5 million grant from the National Science Foundation to continue developing our Computational Center for Fundamental and Applied Science and Education. That adds to our $26 million total for total research on our entire campus, also leading the UNC system for mid-major schools. But this year, NCCU has become a university that's even more desirable. You know, you've heard stories about shrinking enrollments that give you some pause for concern. But at NCCU to date, we have received 12,000 applications for 1,200 spots. But let me tell you, the most significant point of pride, the most significant part of our story are our beloved alumni. They wear the maroon and gray. They are Eagles. Now, I know the pastor asked all Eagles to stand, but I need you to stand one more time because I want your church family to know of your contribution and your success to our institution. Could you please stand? You know, we always talk about giving back to your alma. No, you need to still stand because this is your story. We always talk about giving back to our alma mater. So in October of this year, or last year, I went to our alums. I told them a story. I told them we had 223 students who were academically capable but did not have the financial resources to continue. And if they did not make a contribution, regrettably, we would have to send them home. So these Eagles answered that call, and not only were we able to save those 223 students, in January, we had a program called Spring Eagles, and we brought home 600 students. Thank you. You responded, you did not wait. You know, our founder coined a phrase, and he said, the eagle is no ordinary barnyard fowl. So, you know, the author, Thomas Friedman, during a speech to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, remarked that we have moved from the connectivity he explained in his best-selling book, The World is Flat, to hyper-connectivity. Let me give you a little example of what I mean when I talk about, or he talks about hyper-connectivity. Think back for a minute to 2004, when Friedman wrote his book. He said Facebook didn't exist, Twitter was still just a sound, the cloud was only in the sky, 4G was a parking space, LinkedIn referred to a prison, applications were what you sent to college, and for most people, Skype was a typo. But in less than a decade, these things are now household names we've all heard of, even if we haven't learned how to work them. Information travels faster today than we could have imagined 10 years ago. The pastor said to me, we use video. We embrace that power. Well, you know, I dare say that that is hyperconnectivity. You know, with this type of technology, the possibility and opportunities are just too numerous to mention. And HBCUs must define faith by fostering a shift into this new paradigm. We must meet students where they are. And guess what? It's in cyberspace. So that's why I tweet, I conduct Google Hangouts, and yes, I even take selfies and place them on Instagram. We cannot rest on our laurels and our past successes. North Carolina Central University has stood the test of time. She has come a long way from her humbled and bold beginnings. But we continue to strive because the world is not waiting, and we can't wait. The late, great NCCU Eagle, civil rights icon and attorney Julius Chambers comes to mind when I think of great Eagles who didn't wait. He changed the course of this America, that new America. Former Congresswoman Eva Clayton, or current Congressman G.K. Butterfield, all Eagles, didn't wait to make their presence known in the halls of Congress. All of these trailblazers and many, many more epitomize E². We're committed to installing and achieving Eagle excellence throughout our community and our faculty, staff, and students. We will work to make sure the world knows that North Carolina Central University is a premier institution and worthy of being a student's first choice. Our academic outreach efforts will illustrate how campus and community enhance the quality of life for citizens, not just in North Carolina, but in the world. We can't wait because there is too much work to be done. If we adhere to our plan, stay focused on our mission, and keep our vision in front of us with prayer and support of good folk like you, there is no reason why we can't grab hold of that fierce urgency of now, because we can't afford to wait. We can't wait because our young people deserve every opportunity to succeed. We can't wait. Though our young folk are only 25% of the population, they are 100% of our future. We can't wait. You know, some have tried to tell our children, why go to college? Well, just last week, the Pew Research Center released its report entitled, "The Rising Cost of Not Going to College," where it revealed results of those who are part of the millennial generation. And you know, millennials are those who were born in 1980, after 1980, and those who are now 19 and 32 years of age. The results of the report revealed that the economic well-being for young college graduates outperformed their peers with less education. And today's young people are compared with previous generations, Generation Xers or baby boomers. The disparity in economic outcomes between these college graduates and those with just a high school diploma is greater than it has ever been. Millennial college graduates who are working full-time earn nearly $18,000 more annually than young adults holding a high school diploma. And you know, while money isn't everything, it certainly can help to hold your place while you're figuring it out. You know, I stand before you, not unlike many of you. I'm a first-generation college student, the granddaughter of sharecroppers. My mother was a domestic, and my father sold used cars. But there was one thing in my household that was certain, and that was we were all going to college. Driven by faith, my parents gave each of us this education without incurring $1 of debt. Now, I have to tell you, my three brothers and I are four different folk, and we each did it in our own way. But you know, though we have come this far by faith, let us be mindful that faith without works is dead. May our remembrances create a sense of urgency in all of us. We owe it to those who have come before us, to those watching us now, and to generations yet unborn. We can ill afford the luxury of waiting. So this morning, Pastor, I've read and listened to many of your sermons, and there was a common theme I picked on. There's this power of three. So if I can borrow your methodology, I ask three things of you. One, aggressively engage in the conversation when the existences of HBCUs are challenged. Be an advocate, be a champion. Don't be silent. Make a financial contribution to our schools, and if you're already giving, go deeper. If you give to one, consider supporting another. Challenge those frat brothers and sorority sisters and folks that you came through that university with to also give. And number three, give us your students. Well, Pastor, I hope you will accept this as a 3A and not a 4. But church, I'm also asking you to pay it forward and give our students a job. Do not accept the excuse of shrinking budgets to eliminate the trip to our HBCUs. So if you could remember those three things, you will make and continue to make an extraordinary contribution to the future of our great world. Alfred Street, it is my pleasure to have stood before you. May God continue to bless you.